later in the afternoon. Jim has already come out and got a load this morning, and we're back this afternoon to get another load of firewood. He's got Bill and Lady. And I thought I'd take you along and show you the process of what he's doing.
Hey, why don't you stay right here? My skid steer is right over there. Because I had a different spot this morning. Let me bring it back here because I gotta get a small load here. So if you could just stand here and watch the horses.
Yep.
Calf stop. Okay. Okay, so what we're doing on this job here is cutting a little bit more firewood. I cut a bunch earlier this summer before we got busy haying. And I need to just a little bit more out, and then I'm going to be moving on to a pine job. So this is a job that we're just thinning just the firewood out. We actually have some pretty decent sized trees in here for saw logs, which I'm definitely not cutting right now. As you can see, as you look down through there, it's already been cut, and there's some pretty good stems growing. It's mostly all maple and basswood, and I'm actually cutting a lot of beech out of here. And so we have a couple of beech trees to cut or to get out right now that I cut earlier, and then I do have one saw log tree I need to cut. Do you have the bill? And it is a butternut. You might have to turn your volume up for this next couple minutes of the video. Logging involves an awful lot of sidestepping. And some of my jobs have a lot of stones on it. And when you're sidestepping and you've got stones, you have to be very, 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 very careful. Careful. Because they're always needing to step with their hind feet on stones and whatnot. And obviously they can't see their hind feet and they can't totally see where they're going, so they have to trust me to do the navigating. I'm going to stop right here, and I have this piece of beech right here I'm going to take out, and then I don't know, I don't find a lot here. I could almost gather it all up together and take it all out because I got another little tree over here. And let's see how it goes. The tree that I have, the butternut is right there. And you can't see right there because there's a bunch of beech top right there at the bottom, but the bottom is in really bad shape. So that's why that tree has got to go. And I actually have an order for some butternuts, so this is a good time to get it out. So this tree here, I can't get a chain underneath it unless I was to go way back to there. So I'm going to leave that and put my logging tongs on that. I'm going to put the chain around this tree here. And then I cut these two prongs off. I'm sure they can handle pulling all of this if I can get it swung out of here, which I think I can. I am sure that as I log with Lady being pregnant, I'm going to have a lot of people think I'm maybe even foolish to be using her in the woods, but I guess I'd have to say I disagree. I think she's quite capable of doing the job, even though she's pregnant. I got a couple limbs here I'd like to get cut before I try to go ahead. Just going to get my saw out of the way. And this is going to be a little tricky, but we'll see how it goes.
You going straight, so I'm good here? Do here is I have it all. Well, that piece is hanging back quite a ways, so I'm going to loose up the chain on these other two hitches a fair amount, so I'll just be pulling this one ahead. So stay back there, help us out. No. I love these logging tongs. They work really good in so many situations, but they are the first things that will fall off when you're skidding logs out at times.
So if I was to continue with that, hitch up like that, chances are fairly good that the tongs would fall off before I get to landing. So I'm going to take my chain and use the chain instead. And get the chain on my log. Ah, okay. Back up there. Back there. Oh. No. Oh. My cap is down. So here we've got a hitch ready to go out. It's all coming nicely. I'm going to go cut another tree, so I'm just taking my lines and wrapping around a tree like this. This works really good, but there are some disadvantages of this type of restraint for a horse. If they didn't have a big hitch behind them like this and they could back up, they could actually back right up, and these lines would actually get all messed up. So you don't want to do this unless you have a good sized load behind them that they can't back up, because you don't want them to be backing up at all. So, but this does work really good. They probably, I wouldn't really have to hold them anyways, or tie them anyways, but under the circumstances I will. So let's go cut that butternut tree. This is going to be questionable of whatever, wherever. Go way over there by that big rock.
He's making me a little nervous. I've never seen him look at a tree this long before he cuts it down and go all around it and size it up and feel it as much as this one. There she goes. There she goes, there she goes. Beautiful.
Okay, the tree is down. This is what we have. This is a butternut tree, and as you can see, it's all hollow here in the center. Probably a good animal tree, but I doubt that though, actually, because it just goes up a little ways and you probably can't see it. I should have shown it to you before I even cut the tree down, but there's a big hole on the bottom side here. You can't see it. So this whole butt piece will be left in the woods. What I'm going to do is cut it about here, and we will get a few logs right up through there, because it should be solid, fairly solid right here. So we'll see what happens.
You gonna take this out as one piece?
Yeah, you just gotta mark it.
What does somebody want this butternut for? Do you know?
Now, this is actually for our friend Bob. He's gonna use it for trim in his house.
Nice. It is pretty wood.
He doesn't care what length it is, so I'll cut 8-footers and 10-footers. It's a very, very dark wood.
But it has just different markings in it, which makes it really pretty.
It's not very good firewood, so I'm going to lop that limb off right there, but I'm not going to bother bringing this out for firewood because it's a softish kind of hardwood, kind of like basswood, and it's not that good for firewood. So I'll come back and I'll hitch it on that top end of this tree and pull the whole thing up around through those rocks and right on up through to the wagon. Help me push this. So that gives you an idea of how that butt log looks. One of those tree situations that was not a very difficult situation to know whether or not it should be cut. It's definitely needs to be cut because if left, eventually it would end up, the whole tree would just fall over, and all this nice logs right here, these 3 logs would be completely wasted and never would have made it to a sawmill and never would have made it into somebody's house.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So I have never seen you spend so much time looking at a tree before you cut it down. What was tricky about it for you?
That was a very difficult tree to cut because as you can see how hollow it is, there's very little wood around the outside perimeter of that tree that was actually intact. So I had to really look close to see which way it wanted to lean the most. So many of the trees up here actually want to lean just the opposite way of the prevailing wind, is kind of pushing the trees more the opposite way. But this one here, I felt that it was coming this way a little bit more, and so I had to just be very careful to be able to get a notch in there. When I first started, I was actually pinching it because I was trying to put it that way, and then I realized I better go this way with it, so I made my notch and got behind it, and fortunately it just it went the way I wanted it to go, and so there's no problem at all. But yeah, it does take a lot more observing and trying to decide what's the best way when you get a tree like this, because these can be, quite dangerous. A lot of things can go wrong.
So like when you have a half dead tree, it's always more dangerous?
Always, yes, absolutely. Yep. We are fortunate enough our ash in our area are not really, we don't have the ash borer in here like so many places around the country have, and all the ash trees are dead. And I have not yet experienced cutting those dead ash trees, but they say that they're extremely, extremely dangerous because they are dead, and just the risks are extremely high because of it. But it's the same with any tree. When they're dead or partially dead, it definitely makes things a lot harder. This tree was not dead at all. Well, I shouldn't say at all. The whole lower butt was dead, but it still, being that hollow, a hollow tree is also very difficult to have control of and to cut down. So anyways, let's get that wood out and get this one up there and go from there. Okay, as I pull this log ahead, my chain you'll see is way over here. If I was to ask them to go, the chances are high that this cart would actually flip over, being that long of a piece. So because of that, I need to get this chain as close to this side as I can. So I'm going to pull this chain off and drop it into this slot right here, and that would give me a better chance of keeping it on the ground. And I have to be aware that it still could go, so I have to have really good control of the horses and hold them to a very slow pull while I'm setting this off. Another thing I'm going to try to do is make sure I go like that and not turn too hard to the right until we get rolling. Now as I get here, I'm going to do just the opposite. I'm going to bring this chain back over here to bring it where I want it to be. I do a lot of skidding with long trees, and in the process I have to be very careful. I have to, because it's a long tree, unless you're on a straight trail, you can potentially do a lot of damage to the standing trees. Here's a good example here of a tree that I knew was there, and it's been there, and I've kind of left it there as a bumper tree. Bumper tree means that I'm leaving that tree there to protect these other trees. But because of that big rock there, this is not the first time I've hit that tree, as you can see. But allowing that tree and realizing that's going to be my bumper tree, I can protect the other trees. If I was just skidding one log at a time, you still do damage, but not as much as you do with these longer, full-length trees. So I'm going to load these 3 logs on the wagon, and that's all I'm bringing out of that trail. I had started a new trail this morning, and so I've got a couple little pieces of firewood there, and we'll take the wagon up there and then the skid steer, and we'll load them on. It is so nice in the woods not have to deal with them big ugly old horseflies. I say that, I do have one right here. I don't know if we've actually showed it close up.
That's a deer fly, I think.
No, that's a horsefly.
Oh yeah, that's a horsefly. That's green.
That's a green-headed horsefly. Sometimes they're black-headed horseflies, and but it just seems like they're just not an issue in the woods anywhere near as bad as in the hayfield. So I prefer, and the horses prefer, in the woods than the hayfield. Okay, you don't have to.
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so as soon as you unhook them, do they always know that it's not going to be hard when they pull next time? Or?
Not always, not always. A lot of times when I unhitch from a heavy load like this, I'll actually G them or haul them off to the side so they can feel right off. They don't have that pressure, and then they walk away. If you go straight out of there, sometimes they do think they're hitched, and so they do put forth a lot of energy because they think they're hitched. But if I G them one way or another, then they are less apt to do that.
This is there. Where did he go? Look. He just took the skid steer off and I'm staying with the horses. They always look for him when he's gone.
Guys. Bye. Bye. Hey. Bye. Hey. Bye. Bye. Yeah. Bye. Oh. What's that? Just staying here by them, and I'll throw those other two logs on and we'll call it good.
Okay. I said it before and I'll say it again. It is super pleasant in these woods this afternoon. Wow, it is so lovely.
Okay, we're all loaded up. It's not a very big load for now, but that's okay. This is the trail I was working on this morning down this hill, and I've still got quite a few more pieces down there to cut and get out of there, but I'm probably only going to get one more wagon load tomorrow morning, and then I'm going to be moving on to a pine job. So I will hopefully be doing quite a lot of logging here even still this summer before we cut our second cutting hay. We have a little bit more first cutting to go, but not that much, and hopefully we can get that done very soon. And so anyways, as I start logging, I would love to be able to share with some of the things I've learned over the years in logging. So if you guys have any questions, logging questions especially, that you'd like to learn or like me to try to explain how I do it, I'd love to be able to do that for you. So let us know in the comments below any questions you might have, and I will try to bring them up in some upcoming videos. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Oh.